All right, and we're live. Saturday market wrap up. Barbecue bits.
Take two.
With Billy and Glen. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about what's happening on the ground for a fine day in real estate. You can do it from here.
Well, all right. Well, we're back again. We had
take two.
We had the 5 finest minutes of barbecue bit Saturday wrap. However, we lost the sound link, so we're back in the green room, back under control. Everything's working loud and clear.
We've been given the green light.
Billy and I, we're pretty quiet speakers. When we talk naturally, our volume's quite moderate. We work with a few people where it wouldn't matter if the sound's off, you'd still hear them. You could be in Coolangatta and hear them from DY. So barbecue bits around the ground, Saturday wrap. Billy. Great listings that came on the market this week.
Yeah, really busy. Definitely reflected in our open home numbers. Busiest open of the day.
Tick. I think you won, Billy. You or the great Lisa Novak were in the low to mid-20s for groups coming through. These are second week campaigns. People out in real estate world know that sometimes the second week's a little bit quieter than the first. Everyone wants to see it first and fast. But still in that mid-20s, average numbers were probably between 7 and 10.
Yep.
And then there were a couple of pre-markets where we only had qualified buyers, pre-market open for inspections in 3 and 4. So pretty busy Saturday. Everyone had 5 or 6 opens to look after. So running around.
A great turnout. Number one listing of the week, your favourite child.
My favourite child. Look, I'm going to say one of my own. I'm going to pick one of my own. Love Little Sturdy Parade. DY Steve Bubalo can hear us loud and clear. The great Indian chief up there, the walking buffalo. They can hear us loud and clear. Great. That's a great first home buyers unit. 800,000. Billy will talk about that significance in a minute. I think it'll sell for. And great for investors. Now, I'm buying something for 800,000, Billy, and I'm a first home buyer. What programs or assistance is out there?
Well, there's some massive savings as of the 1st of July that if you're a first home buyer in the marketplace, the difference between buying before July and post July around that $800,000 price point is you've saved about $30,000 in stamp duty.
Wow. Now, you don't mind us sharing this, Billy. It's nothing too personal, like, some information I know about you. But you purchased last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
And around how much stamp duty did you pay?
Well, I was lucky, so I didn't pay any either because I got under the 650,000 threshold. But as of the 1st of July, they've increased that up to 800,000, and from 800,000 to $1 million, you get a concessional rate. So this is really important. Particularly, it was difficult to find 2-bedroom apartments in DY under 650 before, whereas now it's opened up the range a little bit.
Okay.
And then along, that assistance scheme, you can get in with a 5% deposit.
Yeah.
No lender's mortgage insurance, which in its simplest form is a fee that you used to pay as a first-home buyer if you didn't have a 20% deposit.
So let's go through that again. Let's just slow down because, Billy, you say everything so eloquently and beautifully, but let it sink in. I've only got a 5% deposit. For a lot of people, it's really hard to save 20% deposit. How can I buy a property first home buyer?
Well, before you start worrying about your deposit, set out a bit of a plan. Give me a call and we'll help with that. But you can get some really good assistance, and the 5% deposit's a big part of that. There's
how does that work?
Basically, call me, call a broker, and look after the rest. They sort of can, put the application in on your behalf. But
it's a government scheme.
A government scheme. There's only 35,000 places annually. So you do need to sort of just get onto the ball, and that's every financial year. So yeah, this is a new allocation has just opened up. If you want some more information, happy to help.
Yeah, Billy ran a big first home buyers night. So he's across all schemes, all ways to help people get into property. Firm believer at Novak that if you can own your own property, you're on the right path to financial sort of security. So we've talked about the best property rentals. Rental market's hard, Billy. I hear it. How I'm going to get a property. What's it like out there?
I think there's still a little bit of fear and unknown out in the marketplace. I watched a very short segment in the week talking about how interest rates, inflation, and rents are all tied in together. And long story short, summed up that as inflation goes up, interest rates go up, rents go up. I think the good news is, however, we've got an unbelievable team on the ground. We're the largest rental agency on the Northern Beaches, and why that's important for any prospective tenant is because we generally have a little bit more it's a little bit more notice when properties are coming to market.
Yep.
And available stock on the market.
So there's a few ways you can contact us if you're looking to rent on the beaches. Obviously, you can come into our office. We're open 7 days. There's always someone here that can assist you. You can turn up to one of our opens that you can find online. You can message us 24/7. Someone will come back to you. So, we can get a rental. Classic example was someone needed something on a Monday, came in, saw the property, signed the lease. That was only a few weeks ago. So don't think you have to go through an open and wait till Saturday. If you need to find something, make yourself available. If you're a landlord and you haven't got a tenant, we've got plenty of tenants. Please reach out to us.
That's a good market wrap. Number one sale of the week. We've had a couple of auctions.
Auctions. Yes, auctions as they say in the UK, auctions as they say in DY. Look, there were some really, really interesting sales last week, and we touched on them. I think one of the great ones was the great buyer agent, the great Michael Sillage, who works with Lisa. They had an auction. We didn't quite get there at auction day. Didn't wait till Monday, didn't wait till Tuesday. Rang a buyer that was 50-50 about the property, put to him a proposition that worked.
Yep.
And sold under auction conditions that day. That's really, really great buyer work. So, not every property is selling under the hammer.
Under the hammer, yep.
But this property sold auction at 9, unconditional by 5 p.m. On top of doing, I think Michael did 7 opens. So he's negotiating this deal, he's signing the contracts, and he's doing 7 opens all in a day's work. So pretty good. Then we went out we were live. We'll do a few more lives. Huge viewer response. I think your mum and my mum, they loved it. They are 2 main viewers. Went out to 30 Patrick Street, sold under the hammer. That went a couple of 100,000 over reserve. That was a really, really nice location. You could see the Pittwater Bay from the top of the hill. Really, really good. Auction today in Samuel Street. Didn't quite get there, but there's opens tomorrow, and I think a sale will be coming there.
Absolutely.
Pretty quick.
You've got to remember, guys, 30% of auctions will sell pre-auction before you get there, 30% on the day under the hammer, and 30% post-auction. So if you're a vendor in this marketplace and you need some advice around strategy, again, the team have really nailed the craft on how to run this delicate process. And I say delicate and really emphasize that word because there's a lot of different moving parts. But if you're not selling on the date, it's not all over Red Rover. The show goes on.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. So Billy and I were not just plucking numbers out of the air because look, I put it down to Mark and Lisa. At least Mark and Lisa do a lot of education in real estate. So they're educating the industry, and they're also educating the consumer. So we have tenant nights, we have landlord nights, we have first buyer nights for the consumer, and Mark and Lisa also go out and train agents how to do some of the things we do at Novak, and we find successful sharing. But we were fortunate enough, I won't say which one, we had one of the leading auctioneers from one of the franchises come out. This franchise would have 700 offices and they would have 7,000 employees roughly. And they gave us all the statistics on running auctions. Very good for Billy. A+ for remembering, listening in class. And that's what they ran us through. So an auction is a really great way to sell your property. Would every property I take to auction? Probably not. I'm really into finding the right solution for the right property and the right owner. But at the moment, with low stock levels, we're finding it working very well.
Very well said. So that's a bit of a snapshot as to what the day looked like today. On to barbecue bits question of the day.
Well, the barbecue bits is for people that forgot. When you go to a barbecue or you're having a barbecue, you look for something to talk about that's not going to cause conflict. Some people go in there and niggle and try to cause conflict, but you don't talk about certain things, religion, politics, your sex life, all that sort of stuff.
But property is a safe one. And
property is a safe one.
And it's always brought up. Now, barbecue topic of the week, I think, and Glen might have an add to this, will be, I'm a buyer in the marketplace. I'm seeing lots of auction guides. I'm seeing lots of results sell above the guide. Where do I start my bidding? Where do I sort of think it will go as a buyer, and how do I navigate that?
Well, that's really, really hard because there's say for example, there's 100 agents that sell in DY, and there's 100 agents that would have a different, there'd be 100 different auction strategies. But generally, the guide is a starting point. Legally, our guide can be 10% under where we think the property will end at, or the highest price. So when you see a guide, bear in mind that it's you're probably not going to get it under the guide. It's a question to ask because the agent may have got the guide wrong.
Yep.
He might be 10% over the market on his guide. But a great way to educate yourself on the prices, probably through your portals. Look at what properties have sold at. Look at what accommodation they had. Compare those properties to the property that you're looking at. Now, in some areas, that's really hard. There's not a great level of transaction. But in somewhere like DY, we have 11,000 units, 400 of them sell a year.
Yep.
You can probably find a like for like.
That's really good tip.
And work that out. Realestate.com might give you some form of guide. Not when the property's on the market, but there might be a similar property you can find that's sold and give you an indication of price. But generally, I think that's the best way to go. You might learn that some agents, their guides, they have a range of about 5%. Some agents have a range of 10%, and some agents, it would seem, have a range of 20%. And you'll get a feeling for that as well. Making a pre-auction offer.
That's a very good idea.
I think that's a good idea to see where the market's sitting. Now, in some auctions, the owner may say to the agent, I just want to run the process.
Yes.
I've paid my marketing, I paid for the auctioneer. That comes to about, which is non-refundable, about 10 grand. So they're happy to run through the process. Other vendors might say the last thing I want to do is have an auction day, get me an offer before.
Yeah.
I think anything you're going through with agents, because it is brutal out there. We we had an auction today, and you could just see from some of the reactions of one of the buyers there and his body language that he'd been to a few auctions, and he was at the end of his tether. I think most agents I can only speak of at the beach is a pretty fair and honest sort of people. If you're upfront with them, I think you'll get that back.
Yeah.
I think when you start playing, smokes and mirrors and ducks and drakes and all those sorts of sayings, I think it gets a bit difficult. I've had some people that say they're not going to come to the auction, and they send a friend to look the week before, and all sorts of things. It all works out. But if someone comes to me and said to me, Glen, I know it's a 10% range, but I've only got 50,000 under, and I'd ask them, is that 50 under? Is that what you want to pay, or is that what the bank will let me pay, like self-imposed or bank imposed? If it's a bank imposed price and I've already had interest over, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
Because I know I might lose a bidder for that auction. However, I might pick up a buyer or a seller later on by being honest. So I think most agents take that approach.
I agree. I have to say it's very refreshing. We've just put a for sale guide on a property, however, and it's the sort of range, the parameters at which the owner is happy to have a serious conversation and come to a deal. And I think that'll be around the barbecue tomorrow, because that seemed to be quite refreshing for a set of buyers coming through today.
Look, it can be really, really difficult for buyers. I think we do with our auctions, we always take some recent sales, maybe 5, 6, and say, have a look at these, have a look how it compares to the property, and go from there. Where it goes over the reserve, well, that's just competition. The market. And sometimes that happens as well. That's why the auction process is used. Hand on heart, at the end of the day, our obligation to the vendor is to market the property, strategize the property to get them the highest price. They've only got one opportunity of selling it. The new owner, though, they may pay a record today. If they hold the property 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, it'll look cheap.
Cheap as chips.
No, Billy.
I think anything else to add on that?
No, but look, the question everyone wants to know, what is the big brave Billy up to tonight?
Well, tonight actually might be a quiet evening in.
Oh, thank God.
Nothing too exciting happening tonight, I don't believe. Maybe a takeaway. Sunday specials are on tomorrow, so there's a gorgeous property up on the DY North Coco Headland, 92 Quirk Street being open.
Yeah.
We're back out to Epping at 1 o'clock tomorrow, but I would love to go and watch the new movie Oppenheimer as well, so that might be on the list.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
All right, just remember, Billy, whoever won the war writes the history, mate. Don't believe everything you see in the movies. What I would say is, if you are looking for the best view in DY, go to 92 Quirk Street. You'll see Billy. He's the best
10
view.
o'clock. I'm not the best view.
Then look at the property. This property, marketed by the great Lisa Novak, the great Michael Silich and team, has the best view in DY. Northeast view down, looking over DY Beach up to Coolangatta is fantastic.
It's awesome. And Mr. Higgs?
Well, the family's back home. I do have a family. Thanks for all your concern. They're back home. We'll have a nice meal tonight. Then my daughter's back in the water, probably 7 o'clock training. And then we're planning the next trip, I think. So off we go. Very good.
Well, that's the market wrap up of this week. Tune in. We're going to be back here as normal every Saturday, 5 o'clock. And if you've got any questions between now and then, reach out.